I
Welcome,
think my head
welcome,
was cut
welcome.
off there for a minute. Hello.
Hello, yes. Oh my God, I was just kind of like, hello, Kelly. People are coming in. I'm excited to see everybody's face. Ari is working at the moment. I see is Ari around. She's actually on set at the moment. So if you know her, you probably know exactly what show she's on. So, oh my gosh, I'm excited to get into this one because it is one that I struggled with and healing from love and the scars that we have from love. And if everybody knows what I'm talking about, if you've been in a relationship and you're trying to move on to the next one and you're like, why does this keep happening? Why can't I find love? What is happening? And there is one thing that I would ask everybody who's on this journey of trying to heal from love. What is the one thing in every relationship that you've ever had that's been one thing that you could say, yep, that was in my relationship, that was in my relationship, that was in my relationship. If you can point that out, share it here in the comments. But I want to welcome you, Adora. Thank you.
Hello. Wonderful to be here with you today, Shawn, and continuing to co-create all of these powerful conversations, especially right now, this week, right? Even though every day is a day of opportunity for love, this week in particular, this month in particular, we tend to focus on love. We tend to focus on relationships, and it tends to bring up places of pain and heartache from the past. And so if any of you are feeling that in this moment, I want you to know that you're not alone. And today's conversation is going to be filled with not only inspiration of ways that you can heal and open to love again, but some of our stories to be able to remind yourself that in moments when we feel like our pain is immeasurable, that there are others that have walked a journey. And for those of us, and when we're in moments where we feel the throes of heartache, it's difficult to see beyond that. And that's when we come together in community. And that's one of the most beautiful things about these weekly conversations, Shawn, is that we're coming together in sacred community to support each other and support all of those that are listening to live and love the way that we truly desire in our lives.
Yeah, well said. That's so true, by the way. So each and every one of you who have showed up, by the way, you are actually supporting one another by actually being here. I talk about showing up for yourself, which is ultimately where we always need to start. But the fact that you are all here, you're all listening, whether it's live or on the replay, you are supporting one another because we are not alone in this journey. And we all, I have clients from all over the world with different experiences, different pasts. But there's such a universal thing that I've discovered in everything, even in my work, in my being on screen or off screen. We all have the same struggles with human heartbreak and healing, and how do we heal and how do we move forward and create these things that we want in our lives. We all struggle. We're all there. And I just want to applaud each and every one of you for being here, because even your energy, your presence here, and as you share this with loved ones in your community at home, you're building a community here of support. So I want to just, if I haven't said thank you, I deeply appreciate your being here. So thank you. Thank you so much. So I asked, and if you just got big group hug, everybody, I feel you. So I asked everybody, what was the one thing that's been consistent in all your relationships, right? And the thing that I want to just say, it is you. You have been in each and every one of your relationships. I know it sounds obvious. It does.
I didn't even think of that.
Right? But this is the one thing we sort of take for granted in a way, but it's the one thing that's in every relationship we're involved in is us. And that way we can start to go, instead of like, oh, they were a moron, or they had too much drama, or they had this, or some external circumstance that we continue to push off, but we never get to the healing part of how we can grow in love and in a relationship, right?
So true. It's so true, right? Because our human nature is like, oh, this person looks like they have a much better relationship, right? The grass always seems to be greener. And we think, well, okay, there's some issues either in the current relationship, or if we're not in a relationship right now, some areas in our past relationships where it becomes so easy to blame. But we know that nobody wins in the blame game,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And we are the ones that we take into each and every relationship, like you just said, and that the levity is powerful, and yet the message is profound, because it is the places within us where we have the walls around our heart, where we have the resentment, where we have the expectation for the other shoe to drop. Or why would I even bother to go out on a date, because it's just going to end up like the past 12 dates I've had, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so what do we do to heal from the pain of the past? So I know, Shawn, you've got some incredible messages, some insights, some inspiration to share with our group. And I would love to hear some of your top tips. And then I look forward to sharing some very tangible ways that we can heal, because the truth is that all unresolved pain or trauma or emotion is held within our physicality.
Mm.
And this is why we can't just think something different and expect a different outcome, right? We have to go into the visceral connections that are held within our cells, that are held within our blood, because that is held within our being and our emotions and our thoughts and our beliefs.
So true.
So just as a great framework for this conversation, for all of you that maybe haven't made that connection, that all trauma is stored in the body, but just keep that in mind as you start to listen to some of the more tips and insights that we have for you today. Shawn, do you want to go with some of the things that we were talking about?
Yeah, I'll just jump off from having this stored in your body at the moment, because that's such a great point that we're not even aware of. And our shoulders are up here and our back is sore, and then all of these things start to happen. Let me just, I lost that one note I had. But that is one of the places, just be conscious of your own body, because your body's going to tell you things that you just take for granted. And you're like, why is this pain happening? Why is that happening? Why is this? It is stored energy. And I'm sure, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on how that goes, because that was one of the things that I have an abundance of energy. And for those of you who know me out there, Karen Beranger, a lot of people, that I communicate with, is that, I was just a fireball of energy when I was struggling in my previous relationships, and even the ones that I've been throughout my life, and not even being conscious of all of this pain and frustration and anger is being held within, because I had no place to express it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. And so we all, and so the idea of being aware of what needs to be healed is the first step. You're not going to be able to heal something that you're not aware of.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just impossible. So really taking that self-reflection moment of what is causing me the pain? I used to say, why am I so wound up? Why am I so frustrated? And this, you would see me just do it. That's how right? This is what I was asking myself. And then you have to go deeper, because you're first why am I so angry? Well, my partner won't do the thing. And you're like, that might be your initial reaction. But again, you have to go back to you. And what is that? Whether you're in a relationship and you want it to go further. And I love that, many people go, oh, the grass is always greener. I wish I had a relationship like that. No, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And that's by your own feet. So watering your current relationship or your quest for a relationship, rather than going, oh my God, I want what they have, right? That grass is not greener. So where do these pain come from? So once you recognize that, and typically, if you're living in the pain, if you're going, okay, typically it's from the pain of the past. And where does that come from? Well, I'm replaying a memory, a thought that I keep reliving. That is the source. The pain may have happened, and I don't ever want to discount anybody's pain, anybody's experience, or the feelings that you had in the past. whether someone cheated on you or mistrust or hurt you or got in a painful relationship, I'm not discounting that. I want you to, in fact, own it. I want you to own it and honor it, because it will come up, as we talked about before. It will keep rearing its ugly head, right? So address it, okay? And what is that thought that I keep repeating that makes me feel, what is that? And recognize that. Don't judge it. Just go, this, and just try to isolate it to one. You may hear a bunch, right? But we can only handle one thing at a time. And once you learn to heal, one thing, I'll give you a little technique here, how to heal that, but recognize it. Go, this is what's causing me so much pain. This thought. And go, okay, now how can I change not the memory, the narrative, the perspective of this story? How can it now be useful? And then I'll share this with you, because those of you who know me from the entertainment industry, I'll give you this quick example. Down in my dressing room years ago, right? Frustrated, angry, like just screaming at the wall, yelling. In fact, Ari was my wall mate, and she would like, are you okay over there? I'm like, yes, I'm just working through some things, right? But these are the conversations I would have with myself. And then I go, all right, Shawn Christian to set. I'd have to go up to set. And by the time I got on the other side of the lights on the stage, I could create a love scene, a romantic scene, a happy scene, a joyful scene. Like I had to go, now I have to go back to my reality, of course, right? But I was able to change that. How? Why? How was I able to do that? I changed my thoughts. My thoughts changed my feelings. My feelings changed my behavior. My behavior changed my state, right? So powerful. But I knew I had to. Now I've been doing this for 30 years, so I can change my state to the desired state that I want, not discounting how the experience of frustration, pain, anguish, or whatever's happening, and not pretending like, oh, I'm just going to have a positive mindset. That's not going to work, right? It will keep coming back. So I want to encourage you, and I want to hear from you on this. Actually, like, what is, if you're having the same painful thought over and over and over, and it's causing you pain, how do we heal? Okay, I have no place to go. What is a memory? And I'd love for you guys to take the time right now to go, okay, what is one thing that brought you great joy? What is a memory that for you, right? You got to bring it back to you, not my kid's graduation, not my, but you have to bring it back to you. What is a wonderful memory that brought you great joy? I want you to really go there in deep detail and think about what you felt. What were you wearing? What color was the sky? Were you indoors, outdoors? Who was in the room? Okay? You have to go there. I'm not going to deep dive in this session here, but think about that. Because the moment you immerse yourself there, you've now created a new portal to changing your state when you get caught in the same thought. Now you have a technique. Yeah.
That's so good. I love this, because it's how we connect the dots, right? Of being able to change our feeling state in the moment, our mental state in the moment, through modulating our memory and our behavior, right? Because we're actually making these connections in the brain as we're doing this. It's not just an emotional aspect, and yet the emotion is the precursor, or the portal, if you will, as you just said, to be able to open up to a new state of being. So what do? We have this thought, this feeling that keeps coming up, that keeps us closed, that keeps us feeling small, that keeps us from ultimately living and loving, giving and receiving love the way that we long to. So I'm going to share a wonderful, accessible tip, and this is from my book, Detox, Nourish, Activate. And it's a tapping tip, and I'm just going to put this here so you can get the point. It's called Heart 6 along the wrist. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because this is something that you can do essentially anywhere at any time. And when you start feeling the emotion, the trigger points from the past come up that makes you withdraw, that makes you stay, in a place that doesn't feel good, this is a way that you can release, because we just talked about that trauma. Those feelings are stored in the body, and we can't just think them out of our being. We can't just think them out of our mind. Our thoughts are powerful, but how do we access those emotions and clear them? So this point of Heart 6 is specially curated to help you release emotions from the past that no longer serve you in the present. So you can create the future of love that you so deeply long for. Now, to further potentize this, what we just talked about, the mechanism of the brain, is where we bring in the essential oils, because the pure essential oils have the ability to connect in with the limbic center and the amygdala center of the brain that regulates so much of our physiology. So in the moment that we can inhale a natural aroma with our intention to let go of the past, and let go of the past pain, the past heartache or heartbreak or betrayal, grief, loss, right? Loss of love or loss of loved ones. And then we can take that and tap right onto that area for about 30 to 45 seconds. If you haven't worked with tapping before, it is a very powerful way to be able to clear emotions, states of being from the past that no longer serve you, so you can open up to a more fulfilling, freeing, emotionally resilient way of being in your life and all of your relationships. Have any of you here tried tapping before? Go ahead and mention that in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I heard about this, and I think that's wonderful. And then one of the other beautiful things that tapping and things like that do, and this is the way you're training your mind, you're going right to the present moment.
Yeah.
You brought yourself back into your being when you're tapping, right? You're now going, okay, like this is where I'm going. I'm coming back to me. At the very least, think about that, and then go deeper, as Adora was sharing with you. Think about that, because what you're getting into the habit of doing is taking yourself out of the pain of the past and bringing yourself into the present moment of healing oneself. And think of that. So now you're doing this practice. You're back in this moment with you, nobody else, right? And you're creating this beautiful relationship with you first. And celebrate that, by the way. Think about the power of that while you're going through the tapping, and even when you're done, and just think about and audit perhaps how you feel, right? Because you're going to go, your brain will try to take you back, right?
Yes.
It will just so you're aware. Don't keep fighting yourself. Your subconscious wants to be in the familiar known, even if it's painful. It'd rather be, because it knows what to do with it. That's where it's more comfortable, right? But you are consciously saying, no, I'm not going to let my thoughts, my memories control me. I'm going to go here. I'm going to start tapping.
Yes.
That's what I want. That's what I choose to do right now.
I love that, Shawn, because you're so spot on. The subconscious mind doesn't differentiate between good and bad, only familiar. So when we can harness the power of our mind, both the conscious and, as important, the subconscious, then we can create a completely different way of engaging not only with the world, but with ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we start to incorporate more practices that honor ourselves, that care for our bodies, our minds, our spirits. And then suddenly we start attracting individuals that are treating us in that same way.
That's exactly.
So we could go on here for so long about this topic, but for all of you that are joining us at either one of the events in May in California, we're so excited to be with you and dive more deeply into actually clearing these patterns in a tangible way, in person together, and opening up to new ways of living and loving and being, not only in the world, not only with ourselves, but also with each other. For more information I'll drop in the website where you can find out more about these wonderful programs in May in Malibu. It's going to be so beautiful in May, isn't it?
It'll be
It's going to be so
wonderful.
there.
Yeah, and just so for those of you who, because we had a singular event, and of course there was some flooding out there, but now we broke it into 2 events for couples in this sacred relationship. So when you go onto the links, or if you have more questions, right, you then also the next day on the 7th, wherever for those who are solo or single, so we can create the relationships and the love that we want, whether we're single and solo and looking to create that love. And you may just go, look, I'm not even looking for a partner. You're like, I just want a healthier, more loving relationship with me. Show up.
Yeah.
100%. Show up on the 7th. And if you want to take yourself even further, right, within the current relationship, go there. Go on. So if you have any questions, please reach out at any point. Please, any point at all. So I want to thank you, Adora, for your wisdom. And
likewise.
Yeah, I always seem to learn something. And I think that's the biggest takeaway too. You know, when you're in a relationship and there has been heartbreak and you're in the process of healing, celebrate your life and the fact that you're here, not just here, but you're learning. It's the process of creating peace with your past, right? Acknowledging it, accepting it, and creating a new story, a new narrative about what it means to you, what it meant to you, right? That's what your life is for, to teach us,
absolutely,
to guide us each experience.
Yeah, we're all growing in each and every moment. And the more we can honor and bless and embrace and accept and be compassionate about our past, the more that we can open to greater, much more nourishing relationships in the future.
So true.
Great comment. Yeah. I think Yolanda, the solfeggio frequencies are powerful. And it's a wonderful way. Maybe we'll talk about those more in depth in one of our future lives right here on Instagram. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome. Thank you all for showing up. Have a blessed week. All right. Take care.
Blessings.
Bye.